Two massive stone structures next to Egypt's Red Pyramid, dismissed for over a century as simple construction ramps, might actually be a pair of ancient dams built to manage floodwater 4,500 years ago. That is the new interpretation from a study published this year in the journal NPJ Heritage Science. Led by researchers Xavier Landreau, Guillaume Piton, and Syed Hamida, the two structures run 600 to 700 meters long each, anchored into the valley walls of Wadi Dahshur, right next to one of the largest pyramids ever built in Egypt. For more than 100 years, Egyptologists assumed these were transport ramps, built to haul stone blocks up to the pyramid during construction. A fairly mundane explanation for a fairly mundane-looking pair of long stone ridges. But new satellite imagery and hydrological analysis are pointing somewhere much more interesting. Toward sophisticated water engineering. Nobody expected this early in Egyptian history. Let us sort the signal from the noise. The ramp theory made sense for a simple reason. It matched what everyone already believed pyramid construction looked like. Ancient Egyptians moved enormous limestone and granite blocks from quarries to pyramid construction sites, and long inclined structures near a pyramid site fit that existing story neatly without requiring anyone to look much closer. Wadi Dahshur, the valley where the Red Pyramid sits, is also a natural desert wash. The kind of dry channel that only carries water during rare flash floods. Which made water management seem like an unlikely use case worth investigating. For decades, that assumption held mostly because nobody had strong reason to challenge it. Not because anyone had done the hydrological legwork to rule dams out. Landreau's team took a different approach entirely. Instead of starting from what the structures were assumed to be for, they mapped the surrounding watershed, modeled how rainfall would move through the valley, and asked a more basic question. What would you need to build here if you were actually trying to control floodwater? Here is what the hydrological reading found. The eastern structure appears to have functioned as the main water retention dam, holding back floodwater from seasonal storms. The western structure includes a feature called a duckbill weir, a curved spillway design shaped to control how fast water flows over it and where it gets released, paired with a channel that would have diverted water away from the construction site. No securely identified duckbill-style spillway had previously been documented anywhere in ancient Egypt, which means if this interpretation holds up, it would be one of the earliest known examples of that specific hydraulic design anywhere in the world, not just in Egypt. That level of engineering sophistication, reading a valley's water flow and building a matched system of retention and controlled release, is a meaningfully different skill set than stacking stone into an incline. The dam's location, directly beside the pyramid and its construction-era quarries, suggests the water system was not incidental. It may have been built specifically to keep the Red Pyramid's construction site dry and workable during flash floods. If the dam interpretation holds, it reshapes a piece of the pyramid building story that has stood mostly unquestioned for a century. It would mean Old Kingdom Egyptian engineers, working around 4,500 years ago, were not just quarrying and hauling stone. They were also managing an entire construction site's exposure to seasonal flooding with purpose-built hydraulic infrastructure. That adds a layer of planning and civil engineering sophistication to a period usually discussed almost entirely in terms of monument building. It would also mean pyramid construction depended on solving a water problem most modern retellings never even mention: protecting a massive, years-long building project from being periodically flooded out by desert flash floods. Ancient dam and canal systems are already well documented in Egyptian irrigation and Nile flood management more broadly. So the underlying skill was not new to the culture. What would be new is finding it deployed specifically to protect a pyramid construction site. Tying two separate threads of Old Kingdom engineering together in a way nobody had previously connected. Here is what this study has not done yet. And it matters for how confidently you should take this. The dam interpretation comes from satellite imagery, watershed mapping, and hydrological modeling. A compelling case built from a desk and a computer. Not from an excavation that has physically dug into the structures to confirm their internal construction matches a dam rather than a ramp. The original ramp interpretation was never based on rigorous testing either. But that does not make the new claim automatically correct. It means both explanations currently rest on incomplete physical evidence. Egyptology is also a field where competing interpretations of the same structure can coexist and get argued over for decades before consensus forms. And this study has only just been published, meaning the wider community of Egyptologists has not yet had the chance to respond, challenge, or independently verify the reading. The duckbill weir claim in particular is a striking, specific technical detail, exactly the kind of claim that deserves scrutiny before it gets treated as settled. Read this as a genuinely compelling new hypothesis backed by real data. Not yet as the confirmed final word on what these structures were. Quick recap. Two 600 to 700 meter stone structures beside Egypt's Red Pyramid. Assumed for over a century to be simple construction ramps, may actually be a matched pair of ancient dams. One for water retention and one featuring a rare duckbill spillway design. Built to protect the pyramid's construction site from seasonal flash floods roughly 4,500 years ago. So, signal or noise, leaning signal. With the caveat that this needs to hold up under scrutiny. First, the hydrological modeling is rigorous and the duckbill weir detail is specific enough that it was not simply invented to fit a theory, but without ground excavation confirming the internal structure, and without the wider field weighing in yet. This stays a strong hypothesis rather than settled history. Keep an eye on this one. The next step is someone putting a shovel in the ground. Subscribe for history's real mysteries. Sorted from the myths. Signal from the noise. Every week.